Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. When Germany produces an elite talent, Bayern Munich is always at the front of the queue to snatch them up. And with Julian Nagelsmann, perhaps the best young manager around, this has been no different, with Bayern Munich allegedly paying a record-breaking transfer fee for a manager to secure his services. But why exactly have Bayern chosen Nagelsmann, and what will he bring to the club? Let's take a look. And if you want to keep up with Nagelsmann's Bayern, the Bundesliga, or any league of your choosing for the upcoming season, you're going to love our sponsor, the OneFootball app. OneFootball is the best app around to keep you up to date with stats, scores, and news for your favorite teams and players. So, for example, if you wanted to follow Bayern, all you have to do is type it in, hit follow, and you'll get a customized newsfeed and updates on their latest matches. The best part is, it's completely free through the link in the description below. So why Nagelsmann? Nagelsmann has reached a high level extremely early on in his career. In his first job, he took over Hoffenheim at just 28 years of age, and with the club 7 points from safety, and in half a season, he saved them from relegation. And the very next season, he took them to the Champions League for the first time in their history. This earned him a move to an ambitious club in RB Leipzig, where more impressive results have come in, including getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League, the final of the DFB Pokal, and a couple of title challenges that faded towards the end. This has led to individual recognition, including being named German Football Manager of the Year in 2017 and finishing third for UEFA Men's Coach of the Year in 2021. But what will he bring to the Bavarians? Perhaps as a function of his own age, Nagelsmann is a big advocate for youth, whether this is promoting them from the academy or getting them off the transfer market. At Leipzig, he worked with young players like Konate, Upamecano, Sabitzer, Nkunku, Angelino, Olmo, and many more, taking most of them to the next level. This bodes well for young players like Musiala and Davis. In addition, it means that Nagelsmann is in a great position to facilitate the turnover of an aging squad, as only Union Berlin and Eintracht Frankfurt had a higher average age last season. But how does Nagelsmann like to play tactically? Well, if you want a deep dive into Nagelsmann and Flick's tactics, we have 2 dedicated videos on both, which are linked in the cards and down below, so you can see how they would transition from one style to another. But still, let's take a look at a couple of key elements. The formation he chooses is the first thing that Nagelsmann will have to decide on. Last season, Bayern almost always lined up in a 4-2-3-1 in the league. Nagelsmann over the last couple of seasons has shown a preference for the back 3, whether that comes with a front 3 when Werner was present or a front 2 last season. But despite this, both teams are possession oriented and in the top 3 for the Bundesliga. And the back 3 allows his team to adapt on the fly, as they can quickly switch to a wider overload when necessary or overload the center at a moment's notice, making them difficult to predict. And in open play, Upamecano in particular played a more unique role for Nagelsmann. When the midfield was short, or Leipzig just needed more numbers in general, he could push up into the midfield with the centre-backs shift into a 2. So, with the Frenchman having also moved to the Allianz Arena, he could reprise the role yet again. And Nagelsmann's possession style isn't pensive, but more in line with the model of all the Red Bull clubs who aim for a lot of verticality in possession. So, there is onus on defenders to look to play penetrating passes, often trying to break multiple lines of defense. The objective of this is to get many men between the lines on the wrong side of the opposition's defensive midfielders, allowing them to turn and attack the backline directly. The 2 men playing either side of the forward can come deep to facilitate this, and in certain phases of play, Kevin Campbell operated as a single pivot, allowing the likes of Sabitzer and Olmo to also be between the lines. And this would naturally facilitate a central overload, whilst the fullbacks are able to push high up on the outside to provide potential outlets. And the third man runs from the fullbacks are imperative to the attack, aided by one-touch play between the lines. A common pattern is for the ball to go into the dropping wingers who draw in the opposition fullbacks so they can go for the first time flick in behind. But more commonly, the wingers lay the ball back to the midfielder who can then look to play it wide, to Angelino in particular, who will then be in an excellent position to attack the box or get a cross in. This shape also sets them up brilliantly for the defensive phase, as they love to counterpress. This is a trait that Nagelsmann can easily carry across to the Bavarians, as only they press more intensely than Leipzig. When Leipzig had the ball and attempted these riskier line-breaking passes, If it was intercepted, so many numbers high and central meant they could quickly close down around the ball and win it back in a matter of seconds. And it has been an effective strategy. And in the season just gone past, they conceded the least goals in the league, whilst also having the least expected goals against. So how could Nagelsmann line the side up? We have seen several teams at Euro 2020 with players having to play a position they didn't feel comfortable with. So, we are going to avoid that and make sure that they play in their favorite place, as we need their best performance. Those were the words of Julian Nagelsmann, so this gives us a hint, as he doesn't want players to play out of position. So, the first option for Nagelsmann would be to stick with the current 4-2-3-1 formula, which he did use on 7 occasions last season with Leipzig. But this was often with fullbacks in Klostermann or Halstenberg, who could become centre-backs when needed to create a back three once again when the game demanded it. Both Pavard and Hernandez could potentially fulfill these roles, giving the team more flexibility. But so far, Nagelsmann has preferred dedicated back threes, so he could opt for the 3-4-3 that looks like this. Upamecano could play a similar role as he did at Leipzig, whilst Davies, originally a winger, could thrive with even more attacking freedom and less defensive responsibility, akin to Angelino. The double pivot partnership is well established, whilst Gnabry and Coman or Sane could thrive with the freedom to come inside or go outside. But what would this mean for Müller? He could slot in on either side of the forward, but this is not his preferred role. But we've also seen Nagelsmann go with the front two, and a midfield three, which could consist of Kimmich, Goretzka and Müller, with either a single or double pivot. This floating position may once again get the best out of the Raumdeuter, with Gnabry being comfortable as a forward. When rotating, Müller could also become the second forward, with Musiala getting time in midfield. But what would this mean for Coman and the big money, big wage signing that is Leroy Sané? There are plenty of questions he will have to face, but a manager as good as Nagelsmann is bound to come up with some answers. But what are your thoughts? Drop them down below. And if you want even more content whilst helping to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/footballmadesimple. You'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as access to the upcoming FMS video podcast. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.